We are Black American members of the National Academy of Medicine,
the premier health science organization in our nation.
We are scientists,
physicians,
healthcare professionals,
and public health experts.
We are also sisters,
mothers, wives, and daughters.
We are brothers,
fathers, husbands, and sons.
We are your neighbor. The person in line at the grocery store checkout. The person sitting next to you in church. We are members of the Black community.
Many of us have fought our way into healthcare professions specifically to care for our community.
Many of us have devoted our careers to exposing racism in healthcare.
All of us have focused our careers on improving health for all.
That is why we support the COVID-19 vaccine, and we encourage you to get vaccinated.
Trust in government does not come easily for our community. Too often our health has been ignored and even abused.
It is not surprising that polls show that many Black Americans are hesitant to get vaccinated.
We understand why.
But COVID-19 is very serious.
And it has a devastating impact on our community.
We have come through so much over the years.
Now we are facing another life-threatening challenge.
We must do what we have always done.
We must choose to do what is necessary for our community's survival.
As health professionals, we understand the science.
As members of the Black community, we understand your distrust.
We have reviewed the research.
Some of us have participated in developing the vaccines, designing the studies, and monitoring the results.
And we are confident the research was done correctly.
Many of us have already received the vaccine.
The rest of us will get it when our turn comes.
We encourage you to claim your place in line to get vaccinated.
Do it for yourselves.
Do it for your loved ones.
Do it for our community.
Do it because we should not tolerate one more preventable death.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Brought to you by SCDHEC. Visit scdhec.gov for testing and vaccination sites. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In it together, SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council presenting Wellness Wednesday every week on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Agape Counseling and Training Services. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, visit Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. The Comet Bus System, offering free rides to get your COVID vaccine. Don't miss your shot. Visit catchthecomet.gov. Javis Financial Services, with over 20 years of experience. Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. Honest, professional, reliable computer sales and service. Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID from SCDHEC. In it together, SC, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Services, the Comet Bus System, Javis Financial Services, Computers Unique, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Happy Friday, and thank you so much for joining us for Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and we've got a jam-packed show today. We're going to talk to Brandon Upson. He is an advocate, activist, and political strategist who actually helped craft the South Carolina presidential campaign of Tom Steyer. He is running for chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you.
Hey, Ms. Taylor, thank you for having me again. I'm excited to be here.
You're more than welcome. Trey is fine. If you call me Miss Taylor, I'll feel like your mama. Plus, you may have seen the renovation of historic Bethel in downtown Columbia. Mary Skinner Jones with the Renaissance Foundation joins us, along with the architect working on this amazing project, Michael Allen. Both of them will update us and share the historic importance of the project. Miss Mary, hey. Michael and Mary, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We look forward to talking to all of you coming up next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. That next, but first, your COVID community updates. Millions are now eligible for broadband discounted internet. It's a program that provides $50 off per month on broadband and equipment and a one-time $100 discount on the purchase of a computer. To see if you qualify and apply, visit getemergencybroadband.org. And millions are now eligible. And there are several vaccination events taking place tomorrow. In Casey at Lower Lexington Medical Center will administer free COVID vaccines at Concord Park and also at Burnett Park. And you can also enjoy live music, giveaways, and more at W.A. Perry Middle School. They'll have a vaccine clinic there. You can see that information on the screen. Also, an update on the Columbia Place Mall location. They will now offer the J&J vaccine. Finally, DSS has launched their Seniors Farmers Market. We've been talking about that here on Coping with COVID. And Danielle Jones with the Department of Social Services joins us today to talk about it. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us about the farmers market for senior citizens.
So essentially how this works is the program we do in collaboration with the USDA, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And essentially what it does is that it allows us to give eligible seniors $5, which will $5 vouchers, which equal up to $25. And they can take those and go to local farmers market and use those to buy fresh fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So there are some requirements, of course. One, of course, being that person needs to be 60 years or older.
Right.
You also have to have a specific income, which is just for throw out one. For household size of one, you have to make around 1,986. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And also you have to be residing in one of the 43 participating counties. So yeah, what we want to do is be able to get this information out to as many eligible seniors as possible because that deadline is approaching soon. The deadline is June 1st. And all you have to do is go to the DSS website, which is dss.sc.gov, and you'll be able to fill out an application on our website. Once you fill out the application, make sure you have an email because the email is important. Once you fill out an application, you'll get an email, which will tell you whether or not you were approved for the vouchers, and then it will also have some information on there on where you can go to pick up your vouchers. And we also have some information because we know, technology can be hard for seniors.
Challenges, that's right.
Challenging, yeah. So we have what we call some senior servicing agencies on our website. If you click the link that's on the website along with the with the application, it'll take you to a form where in different counties, we have people who are available to help fill out applications.
Oh, great. Awesome. So it's the Seniors Farmers Market. Anyone 60 or older with qualifying, situations can get $25 in the form of 5 checks. And it's a one-time $25 voucher, right, Danielle?
That's correct.
And they can use that to purchase fruits and vegetables.
Right. So essentially this program is to help seniors as well as farmers in our state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So people've got until June 1st to go to the website and qualify. You see the information on the screen. If you or someone you know is 60 or older, visit dss.gov by June 1st. See if you qualify, and then go ahead and get that $25 voucher. During these days and times, everybody needs a little bit help, Danielle. So
absolutely.
So thank you so much for giving us this information. Now, we're also going to talk with DSS a little bit later on next week because they have a couple of other programs coming up. Aid for foster youth. Conley Ann talked to us about that a couple of weeks ago. And they're also looking for foster families. More on that coming up next week on Coping with COVID. Thank you, Danielle, so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for helping us get the word out. Have a great one.
Absolutely. You do the same. I'm Tre Tailor, and you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says, great information for seniors. Yes, Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, visit scdhec.gov for an up-to-date list of times, dates, and location for COVID testings and vaccinations in and around South Carolina. Again, that information will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. A couple of that I do want to mention, though, including the Comet bus system. If you are having some challenges getting to the vaccine sites, don't miss your stop. The Comet bus system is providing free rides to vaccinations. Not only that, you can actually get a vaccination at the Comet bus system. Don't forget about the Columbia Mall site. I mentioned it earlier that they are going to remain open until June 9th. Anyone 16 or older can get their vaccination for free. No ID is required. No insurance is required. No appointment is required. And they also have Spanish and sign language speaking interpreters available. That's at Columbia Place Mall in Columbia. And now they are offering the one-shot J&J vaccine. Also, pandemic relief information for housing and the FEMA funeral expenses. If you know someone that has passed away due to COVID, they could possibly get a reimbursement from FEMA. You see that information on the screen. They've been taking applications since April 12th, but there is still money available. So don't forget to go ahead and apply for that assistance. Also, if you need some help with your bills or with your mortgage or rental payments, Richland County has some great assistance available that they're giving. And also Health SC Housing has a program where they are helping folks with their bills and also with their rent. Don't forget about Prisma Health's WellFest. That's happening tomorrow, this weekend. It's featuring a former WIS News anchor, current Today News show host, Craig Melvin. You can go to the Prisma website and register for that. And again, the virtual WellFest is tomorrow. Finally, want to remind you about Palmetto AIDS Life Support. They are holding their virtual anniversary and auction coming up in June. If you want more information about that, you see that information also on the screen. And then earlier this week, in commemoration of Mental Health Awareness Month, we gave you some great resources that are available right here in South Carolina. If you or someone you know is having some challenges coping with COVID, as a matter of fact, they can visit 1444-SC Hopes. That is a free, toll-free number where people can get help and various resources available. It's SC Hopes. Please not only call if you need it, but make sure you get that information out. Listen, can you please go over to the Tailor Made production page on Facebook? That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there and hit like and follow. Not only will you be able to watch Coping with COVID Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and first Monday with comedian George Wallace, you'll also get all of your COVID-related updates. Also, we are streaming live on YouTube. Would you go over there and hit the subscribe button? We would love for you to do that. And we also have a presence on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Hey, don't forget to like, follow, and share, and post your comments in the comments section. And don't forget to also please check out the scroll that will be going at the bottom of the screen for all of your COVID-related updates. Want to say hi to, once again, Mitchell Peace Joy Jen. Thank you so much for joining us. She said she just received Brandon's flyer in the mail today. Well, Mitchell, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk to Brandon right now. As a matter of fact, Brandon Upson is an advocate, an activist, and political strategist who, as I said, helped craft the South Carolina campaign presidential candidate Tom Steyer, and now he's vying to be chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you, sir.
No, still pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So listen, tell us a little bit about the position, Brandon. Give us some SCDP Black Caucus 101.
Yeah, so just basics. The caucus is the advocacy arm for constituencies within the Democratic Party. So with the Black Caucus is the advocacy arm within the Democratic Party for Black and African American Democrats, which make up 70% of the South Carolina Democratic Party and is nearly more than 800,000 folks here in South Carolina.
Wow. So the position would be someone that's kind of gauging what's happening in the Black community and then kind of go back and let the party know what Black and brown people need in South Carolina?
Exactly. The goal of the caucus is to make sure that Black and African American voters that consider themselves to be Democrats, their voices are heard, their issues are addressed, and they have equity within the South Carolina Democratic Party. You know, one of the biggest things that I want to do is make sure that we have boots on the ground in communities across South Carolina, speaking to people one-on-one or in small groups to make sure that we hear directly from the community members what the issues are in their communities, then bring those issues back to the state party so that we can include it on our state's platform, and then start directing those issues into policy changes, legislation, and ordinance changes across this state. Because we can't just talk about problems, we have to bring solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know, you've been an activist, as I said, you've been an advocate. So what are you seeing as some issues that South Carolina and South Carolinians are having as far as the African-American community that you would like to bring to the party if you're chosen chair?
Yeah, one of the biggest things, I feel like we are always attacking the symptoms of the problem without getting to the root of the issue. And one of the biggest impediments that we have is a lost sense of trust in our community with our government, right? And elected officials. We have to do the work to rebuild that trust and also inform, educate, and empower our community to be a part of the solution. When it comes to issues, we have big time economic issues. You can throw a dart at a map of South Carolina and there's an economic issue there. You know, and we have a big education opportunity gap in our communities as well, especially in rural South Carolina. So I want to make sure that the rural edges of our state are represented and their voices are heard at capacity. Because a lot of our rural towns feel left out and like the redheaded stepchild of our state.
Yeah. Is that really why you want to be chair? Because you're from the Aiken area, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, don't you think like with Aiken, it's like kind of like hanging on the end of South Carolina, you know, sometimes are we Georgia? Are we South Carolina?
That's why we consider ourselves the CSRA, right?
Yeah.
I spent more time growing up in Augusta than I did in Columbia.
Right.
And right there on that border, you feel like you're in the middle of these two states and you really don't have a home, a state to identify with. And, you know, there's places like that all over. If you go to Dillon, South Carolina, or Marion, South Carolina, or, you know, I just drove through Gaffney and I was like, oh, I need to stop in Gaffney to talk to some folks. You know, we have parts of our state that just feel like they have been left out of everything. You know, you're driving through and the potholes are 12 inches deep. You know, you go to the schools and the ceilings are caving in, or students don't have adequate resources to even access their lessons, especially during this pandemic where children were learning from home. With our struggle to have broadband and internet access in our rural communities, there were children who were literally left behind until we could find a solution for that. So we have a long way to go to make sure that the issues, we bring solutions to the issues that we face.
We're talking to Brandon Upson. He is vying to be chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. What are some of the things, I know you talked a lot about really being a voice for those smaller and rural communities in South Carolina. What specifically would you like to implement? Are there specific things?
Absolutely. When it comes to the caucus itself, you know, I'm running because my experience lends me the skills to move this caucus forward and to serve our constituency group the greatest, I feel, in this time. You know, there's three things specifically I want to do with the caucus. One, I want to organize the caucus, because if we are going to, and our goal is to turn South Carolina blue, like Georgia just went blue. We can do it, but first we have to get organized. And that means we have to be able to educate, inform, empower, and motivate Black and African American voters to go out and vote and participate. Then I want to do the hard work to bring some unity we have to unify behind our mission. If we can't do that, then everything else is for naught. You know, they say a house divided will never stand. And one of the things that I'm planning on and I already have in place if I win is a allyship training, which I will work with our other partners, you know, Black, or white, Asian, Hispanic brothers and sisters across the state to do the training to help them become better allies for our community, but also do allyship training in our community so we can be better allies for them. Because when we work together, we're stronger. And then the last thing, we just absolutely have to restore our voice and our position inside of our communities and inside of the Democratic Party. That picture you have up now, you know, that is those kids. You know, I don't look like that much anymore. My hair is definitely gone and I have glasses. But I was a teacher at that program for 3 years. We started off with 25 kids and now we have over 200 kids in that program with a 300 kid waiting list. And because we saw an issue in that community of North Charleston, our high schoolers were graduating high school with a 4th grade reading level.
Wow.
And my mentor and I decided to bring a literacy program to the Liberty Hill community, which every kid that comes out of that is either reading 2 grades above where they are or 4 grades above where they are. Going into high school. So it's completely turned it around. But those kids are why I fight every single day. My children, I have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I understand that we have to bring solutions to the problems that we face today. Otherwise, they are going to be left holding the bag, facing the same reoccurring issues that we left unsolved. And I refuse to leave them in that type of mess.
Yeah, that was a picture of your wife and your family just a few minutes ago. Brandon Upson is running for chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. And we're talking to him today about his vision for the party, why he wants to and how he wants to, really represent rural and underserved South Carolina cities and towns. Why is this important and election important to the community, Brandon?
Oh my goodness. Here's the thing. I with my organization Amplify Action, we registered over 39,000 Black men last year. And the only way we were able to do that was to have conversations that connected their issues to the solution, which is in our political process. And I had so many people say, well, I'm not interested in politics. And I would tell them all the time, well, politics is interested in you because it determines who gets what, when, and how. It determines how much money you have in your pocket and how much you keep. So when we talk about, the Black Caucus inside of the Democratic Party, if we as Black Democrats across the state want to make sure that our voices are heard, we want to bring real solutions to our problems and not just lip service, then this is the vehicle. I have a lot of other things that I could be doing, but I felt that this was a great position to bring the greatest amount of good to this constituency and to our community.
I want to thank everybody for watching Coping with COVID. I want you to post and share this information out so we can get this message to the masses. Brandon Tyler, Swain Mitchell wants to know, how can the South Carolina Democratic Party engage more Black voters in 2022? Thank you, Tyler, for your question. Did he just freeze? All right. All right. Well, we've been talking to Brandon Upson. He is running to be chair of the South Carolina Black Caucus Democratic Party. We just lost Brandon. Hopefully he will rejoin us. We're going to take a quick break. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. We're going to take a quick break, see if we can get Brandon back up. If not, we're going to come back with Mary Skinner Jones and Michael Allen with the Renaissance Foundation. Thank you, guys. Oh, Brandon, you're back.
Yes, I don't know what happened.
Listen, technology. Don't you love it? Don't you hate it?
All at the same time.
That's right. All at the same daggone time. Listen, we had a question when the internet, blessed us. Brand, Tyler wanted to know, how can the South Carolina Democratic Party engage more Black voters in 2022?
Yeah, Tyler, that's a great question. Here's the thing. The people who are closest to the problems are the ones closest to the solution. And until you get on the ground to talk to the people, you'll never be able to bring real solutions to their problems. So a major thrust that I want to bring to our caucus and the leadership of our caucus is making sure that we're not afraid to get on the ground, get into marginalized communities, go into the quote unquote hood, and talk to people no matter who they are or where they are. If we're going to properly engage our community, we have to go inside of the community to do so. I've never been afraid of any person who's a member of my community, no matter where they were. And I don't want our party to be afraid of that as well. I've seen campaigns in the past, bring in folks from other communities to organize Black and brown communities across the South, and they were afraid to go down certain roads and go into certain neighborhoods. That is definitely not the way to move things forward, and I won't allow that in the Black Caucus if I'm the next chair either.
Thank you, Tyler, for your question. Continue to post and share so we can get the message to the masses. Brandon Upson joins us. He's candidate for the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. You can visit his website, brandonupson.com. You can see the information there. And as a matter of fact, right there on the home page, Brandon, you have an opportunity for people to RSVP so that they can actually vote in the election. Now, tell us what that process looks like.
Yeah, so this election is very unique inside of our party structure. Typically, only delegates or active members of the Democratic Party can vote. But with the Black Caucus, any registered person in South Carolina who considers themselves to be a Democrat can vote. Even if you're an independent and you vote for Democrats every now and again, you can vote as well. This is a virtual election, so you can do it right from the comfort of your home. All you have to do is RSVP, and you can go to my website, brandonupson.com, as you saw, click on RSVP and get your access code to join the meeting. It's May 25th, which is next Tuesday at 7 p.m. When you click RSVP, it'll take you to this page that's showing right now. Put your information in, and they will text you a code or email it to you. And it's a live election, so you have to join next Tuesday at 7 p.m. in order to vote. The voting would start around 10 minutes after 7, and it will last about 15 minutes. So you definitely don't want to be late. And I hope that anyone who joins will vote for me for the next chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party's Black Caucus.
Yeah, awesome. That is, again, you can go to brandonupson.com. That's the page, as Brandon said, that will take you to the South Carolina Democratic Party State Convention. And as he said, it's live, and you can really be part of the process and vote for Brandon or whomever to be chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. So Brandon, tell us a little bit about Amplify. I know you talked a little bit about that earlier, that you launched Amplify to really engage African-American men in politics and the political process. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we started Amplify Action almost a year ago now. Can you believe it? Wow. June 11th of last year, we started. And we started that organization so that we could rebuild political power within Black and marginalized communities in the South. We felt that the way to build that political power was through civic education and civic mobilization of Black men. So targeting Black men for voter registration and engagement, like I said earlier, we registered 39,000 Black men. But here's the cool thing. Focusing on Black men, we actually also registered nearly 60,000 Black women.
Yeah.
And that was in less than a year that we were able to do that. And then across our 5-state territory, which included South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia, we mobilized 450,000 Black voters to the polls and employed over 350 young people during that election. So there was a lot of great work happening, and it's not over. We're going to celebrate our 1-year birthday next month, and we'll be announcing the set of events that will be happening for that as we kick off our South Carolina voter initiative. Our goal here in South Carolina is to do 100,000 voter registrations in the state alone, because in South Carolina, we have 132,000 people who are not registered, over 50,000 who need their registration updated, and about the same amount who have not voted since 2008.
My goodness.
So when we put all those numbers together and we talk about, and now I'll put my political hat back on, my partisan hat, we talk about turning South Carolina blue and getting Democrats elected. Jamie Harrison lost by less than 250,000 votes.
Right.
There are more than 250,000 Black and African-American voters who did not participate in that election. When we come to midterm elections, half of the people who turn out, just about half of the people who turn out in general elections with the president, turn out for the governor. We can have a Democratic governor in constitutional positions across the state filled with Democrats and or people who believe that Black Lives Matter, who believe that women should have control over their body, who believe that the firing squad is heinous and barbaric, right? Who believe that every child should have access to quality education and should not go to bed hungry, right? We can get this done. But again, we have to organize, we got to unite, and we got to restore the voices of the people to do so.
All right, that's Brandon Upson. He is running for chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. Go to his website, brandonupson.com, for more information about Brandon and to actually register to vote in the election, which is going to be held next week, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Brandon, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you for continuing the work, kind of boots on the ground, doing what needs to be done to help our community. We appreciate you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. Great show. I love what it's evolved into. Have a blessed one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Brandon Upson. I'm Tre Tailor. Hey, don't forget to share this message out so we can get the message to the masses. Coming up next, we are going to talk about historic landmarks and an open house that's happening, and why it's important to even restore historic sites in South Carolina and beyond. That's coming up next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor.
COVID-19 has changed how we express our faith and gather to worship.
We all want to get back to how we pray,
how we congregate, how we lift our voices in praise. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to spreading the word without spreading concern.
Before we can safely come together, we need the facts.
As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Should I get it?
Is it safe? Should I wait?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday life. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
Need health insurance? Call Javis at 803-419-1001. Javis can get you health insurance premiums as low as $0, plus other low-cost and affordable options. 803-419-1001. Let Javis help you file your taxes. And if you need it, get a cash advance from $500 to $6,000. Javis Tax Services, 803-419-1001. Javis Tax Service. JavisTax.com.
How will you remember the year 2020?
COVID.
Losing my job.
Working 12-hour shifts in a mask.
Losing my grandma to COVID.
COVID has claimed thousands in South Carolina and strained our health system, schools, businesses, and families. If you're struggling and need to talk, call SC Hopes. That free call can help put you in touch with people who can help. This goes for healthcare workers, teachers, restaurant employees, parents, anyone and everyone. SC Hopes, mental health and addiction support for challenging times.
You can eat what's good to you and good. You can eat what's good to you and good for you, too.
Yes.
Get the Dash for Southern Soul Cookbook free. All you have to do is ask. It's packed with delicious Southern-style recipes with a healthy twist.
Yummy.
You won't be able to taste the difference, but you will be able to feel the difference.
Yeah.
Inbox your email address to the In It Together or Tailor Made Productions Facebook page, and you'll get it straight to your mailbox. The Dash for Southern Style Cookbook and a Coping with COVID face mask. From In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, and Coping with COVID.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Thank you so much again for joining us for Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Want to remind you to please, if you are joining us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're joining us on Facebook, please like, share, post, and of course, if you've got a comment, we would love to hear from you. If you just joined us, hit the replay button and check out Brandon Upson. He did an amazing interview. He is running for chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party Black Caucus. Right now, Mary Skinner-Jones joins us. She is the executive director of the Renaissance Foundation, a Columbia-based nonprofit that provides cultural diversity, outreach, and partnerships to help bridge disparity gaps in the community. One of the projects is the restoration of the historic Bethel, the historic landmark that was built in 1921 by the first registered African-American architect in the United States, John Anderson. Michael Allen also joins us as a CEO and founder, architect and founder of MOA Architects, and he's a partner on this project. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Mike, I've got to ask you the first question. How exciting is it to be working on a project built by the first African-American architect?
It's real exciting. It's when you know the history of African Americans in this country, and there are certain careers that we just were kept out of, and
Right.
to know that such a career like architecture has been opened up to someone and that looks like me, and a Black male in South Carolina, a lot of the connections there. It's inspiring to be able to come behind and help preserve the work that he did.
Yeah. So did you know about him? Is that something they taught you in the architecture school at Clemson?
No, it was like everything else with African American history. It's one of those things in history that they just don't teach, and they never taught, and it needs to be taught and needs to be understood, especially just to have the history and have other young people be inspired to become architects. We still have a low number, and that's inspiring.
Miss Mary, many people in Columbia have seen the changes little by little. Can you give us an update on how the project is coming? Miss Mary, can you hear me? Well, first of all, your mic is muted, Miss Mary. Miss Mary, can you unmute your mic? I don't know if she can hear me. All right. Well, Mike, I'm going to go to you while Miss Mary is trying to get it together. What is it going to take to restore this facility, this project?
Well, one of the good things is that
yes, we can, but hold on a minute. Let's finish. Let Michael finish his answer. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you now.
Yeah. One of the good things about the building is it has really good structures in it. It's well designed. They're just things that, because of the age of the building, that has to be restored. And it's a typical of the year that the building was constructed. There are things that need to be updated.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. You can finish, Michael.
And so there are things that needs to be updated and to bring to today's standards. And that's mostly what we're doing. There are things, of course, with just typical wear and tear. And, this building was built so long ago. You just know that there are things that have to be repaired and cleaned up. So it's not hard work, but it's just a lot of work to get it back to its glory.
Right. Miss Mary, if you can hear me, can you give us an update on the project? Can you hear me? Yeah, it's such a delay with Miss Mary. So, Mike, we're going back to you. So, why did you decide to do this project? I know you've worked on a couple of different projects similar to this, historic projects.
Well, it's one of the things that I, built my firm around was, to be able to have people come to me. And people have been able to see quality of work that we do as a firm. And the project actually came to me. I did not seek out the project, but it's a blessing to be able to work on such a great project like this. And for this project to find us, it's just been a great opportunity, and would never have turned it down for a million years. It's just an awesome project to work on.
Yeah, we're talking to Michael Allen. He is architect and CEO of MOA Architecture here in Greenville, South Carolina. This is the website. This is just a sampling of some of the things that you've done. The Augusta University, Starbucks. This is a McKinney House renovation in North Greenville University. Is this a historic project too?
That one is not historic project.
Okay.
No. That's just an older home. Yes.
Older, dilapidated home, right? Yeah. Now, this is the Echo Theater in Lawrence, South Carolina. Now, that's a historic project, correct?
It is. It's very much a historic project. It's a great project. A lot of history around that project. If people look in South Carolina history, that was what they used to call the old redneck shop, which was a KKK gathering location. So they had meetings in the theater. They sold memorabilia for a lot of hate groups there, and it was just a project that we are taking and changing the narrative of this building. From a theater, in that image that you can see there on the screen, from a balcony that was where the blacks used to go to sit during the watch theaters. It's a lot of history there that we're really taking and changing what all that meant. So a lot of the hatred and the spirit of the hate that was in there, we're taking that and transforming it to a place of diversity and change.
That's amazing. Here are some of the other projects that you've done. The Wonderworks in Myrtle Beach. That's an amazing, just such a creative space right there.
Yes. That's a great building. The good thing about that was a lot of these corporate groups like this, they have a lot of this stuff thought out already.
Okay, all right.
So my job is to help it make it work for real.
Here's some other projects that you've done, in our area, the Health and Wellness Complex in Claflin, Charles Wade Lot Field at Coastal Carolina, also the Research and Extension Center at South Carolina State University. People in Columbia will recognize the James Clyburn Pedestrian Overpass right here in Columbia, and then the Richland School District 1 football stadium. These are just some of the projects that Mike and his team have done with MOA Architects. And we're talking to him now because he is working on the restoration of historic Bethel. As you can see, and many people may be familiar with that project, which is located in downtown Columbia. We lost Mary Skinner Jones, who is the executive director of the Renaissance Foundation. She was having some connectivity issues, but I know that they wanted to do a lot with this piece, with the project. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I know they wanted to do the Ernest Finney Museum and Gallery, an art museum. On the second floor, they want to do a kind of a 600-seat theater, which is, I know that a lot of research said that that's the kind of facility that was needed. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Michael? What are you going to be working on that first project?
That's exactly the pieces that go into basically it's being a cultural arts center and being able to provide a place that young people and old people, everybody can enjoy good art in different forms with physical art and interpretive art and dance and all types of areas. And the museum being a portion of this project is always good to have when, just like the architecture you spoke about at the beginning, when there are things about our history that's not taught, able to be read anywhere, bringing a museum in this really helps to be able to control the narrative and display history that you can and control.
Yeah. If people want more information, they can go to our foundation, ourrenaissance.org. I'm going to let you see the website for that, for the Renaissance Foundation. And there you can get more information, not only about the Renaissance Foundation, but about this project with Historic Bethel and everything that they're working on there. That's the Historic Renaissance Foundation website there. And as you can see, they're talking about the restoration of Historic Bethel. Their Centennial is coming up, an open house. That's Ernest Finney. They're going to have a civil rights museum in honor of Ernest Finney. You can see that there. And some of the other things that they're working on. So go to ourfoundationsc.com for more information about the Renaissance Foundation and more information about Historic Bethel. So what is the timeline, Michael, for the restoration? Because you're just going to work on that first floor, correct?
Actually, this entire building.
Okay, awesome.
Structure. And the timeline, when you have a building like this that's on the National Historic Registry, it's very sensitive, and there's a lot of steps that have to go. You have to do things before you start seeing work being done. And so we're in that process of doing things like with historic preservation and getting all this documentation and all those things in order before we really do a lot of the design work that we need to do.
Yeah. All right. So that sounds like a lot of work. So what are we thinking of? What are you thinking about? Is that a year? Is that 2 years?
When you're dealing with bureaucracy, it's really up to them. We do our part and we wait. We do our part and we wait. And we want to do it as fast as possible. And we're gonna do our part to do it as fast as possible. And there's a lot of decisions and a lot of decision makers. You got to get the city involved. You got to get all municipalities in. So they're just things that we want to work with and do our part to get it done as fast as possible.
All right. Well, we couldn't get Miss Jones back up. She was still having some connectivity issues. So we would love to have her back on. Mary Skinner Jones, Executive Director of the Renaissance Foundation. She is, of course, working with Michael Allen, with CEO of MOA Architect for the Historic Bethel restoration. It's going to be an amazing project once, as Michael says, you get through all of the red tape and get it done. But we look forward to seeing all of the great things that you and your team are going to do to put this together. So on another note, Michael, I know people may or may not know that you started out as a football star. So how did you over at Clemson? So how did you change from football to architecture?
Well, it kind of it kind of chose me.
Okay.
You know, I love both architecture and football, and you know, I went to Clemson. One reason is they did have an architecture program, and they had a football program that was the best in the state. And so, you know, being able to play for Clemson at the time, it was one of those things that I love both, and I tried both. I went semi-pro, enjoyed my time at Clemson, and architecture just ended up working out more. And I ended up getting my degree in architecture before I left to try out pro. And that kind of called me back when I realized that, you know, I'm not going to make it in the NFL like all the other stars in the world. And so it was a good journey, and I would not exchange it for anything else. It was a great opportunity to play football and do architecture.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you ended up being an architect, because now you're here working on this historic Bethel project. Michael Allen with MOA Architects. He is based in Greenville, South Carolina. God's country is what they call it up there. And if you want more information, you can go to MOA ARC, Michael O. Allen Arc. For more information. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. Hey, we couldn't get Miss Jones, but I see her down there again, and she's just a black box right there. So I tell you, like I said, you got to love and hate technology all at the same time. Michael Allen, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing from you again as the project progresses.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you again so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. Listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go to the Tailor Made production page on Facebook and inbox me. We would love to feature your story or initiative on Coping with COVID. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. That information should be scrolling on the screen. And we would love to talk to you about being a proud sponsor of Coping with COVID, just like all of our other sponsors: SCDP, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Javis Tax Service, also In It Together SC, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, Agape Counseling and Training Center, the Comet Bus System, and also Palmetto Media Connections and Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall. Hey, don't forget, coming up next week, Wellness Wednesday, In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Next week, we're going to talk about Alzheimer's and caring for an aging loved one. We're going to talk with the two families that are doing just that, one in the home, another one in a facility, and talk to some folks who are experts in helping you navigate the very delicate process of handling an aging loved one. That's coming up next Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, right here on Coping with COVID. And then Thursday, we'll talk to Columbia, South Carolina mayoral candidate Daniel Rickman. We've talked to Tamika Isaac Devine. We talked to Sam Johnson earlier this week. And now we'll talk to Daniel Rickman. All that and more coming up next week on Coping with COVID. As always, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. It's May 21st, and today Jesus says, "The creator of the universe is with you and for you. What more could you need?" When you start feeling lack, and because you are not connecting with me at a deep level, Jesus says, "I offer abundant life. Your part is to trust me, refusing to worry about anything." It's not so much adverse events that make you anxious as it is your thoughts about those events. Your mind engages in efforts to take control of a situation to bring about the result that you desire. Your thoughts close in on the problem. Determined to make things go your way, you forget, Jesus says, that I am in charge of your life. The only remedy is to switch your focus and focus from the problem to my presence. Stop all your striving and watch and see what I will do. Jesus reminds you that he is the Lord. That's your Jesus Calling for today. It is Friday, May 21st. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you again so much for joining us. I see Miss Mary Skinner Jones down there. Let me see. Oh, there she is. Hey, Miss Mary. Can you hear me? Still can't hear me. much. Well, listen.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Well, we're so glad. Well, listen, we had a great conversation with Michael.
I can hear you.
Okay. So you want to tell us, we've got a couple of minutes. We talked about the project with Michael. You want to kind of give us an overview of what we
have to do.
Yes. Well, we've got 6 minutes before the show ends. You want to tell us a little bit about the project?
That's the way it was supposed to be.
So I guess. Yeah, because you had initially, Michael,
to the Centennial, and I was looking at 1921.
Oh, I think we lost her again. All right. So I'm going to have to go to Miss Mary and maybe we can do something on the site. We can do that. Okay. All right.
Can't hear
Michael,
you now.
We'll
do it again.
I look forward to it, Miss Mary. Thank you guys, both of you, so much for joining us. Good luck to both of you. God bless. And thank you all so much. Mary Skinner-Jones, Michael Allen with the Renaissance Foundation. Listen, until the next time, I wish you peace, abundant blessings. Take care. Stay well. Hey, don't forget to get your vaccine. And you know how I feel about this. You still need to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. I'll see you later.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Brought to you by SCDHEC. Visit scdhec.gov for testing and vaccination sites. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In it together, SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council presenting Wellness Wednesday every week on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Agape Counseling and Training Services. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, visit Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. The Comet Bus System, offering free rides to get your COVID vaccine. Don't miss your shot. Visit catchthecomet.gov. Javis Financial Services, with over 20 years of experience. Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. Honest, professional, reliable computer sales and service. Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID from SCDHEC. In it together, SC, the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Services, the Comet Bus System, Javis Financial Services, Computers Unique, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.